everyone, welcome back. My name is Jeffy and this is my best friend Android the Chihuahua. Today we're going to be doing a super fun melt and pour soap design. You can really do this design with cold process or melt and pour soap, so I'm going to go ahead and do a separate video for both of them. So if you're curious to see the other video, just subscribe to this channel and it should come up at some point. Okay, so what inspired this project? Honestly, I saw someone else on Facebook do it first, so I went over to Amazon and I looked for the little piggies, and I was shocked how inexpensive all these little piggies were. I think I got a bag of 20 and I forget the exact price, but I mean, I'll link them below. I was shocked how inexpensive it was for 20 of these little guys. They are super duper cute. They're little squishy pigs, and they're going to fit into our mold perfectly. This mold I also got on Amazon, and I'll of course link this as well. And this is one of those massage bar molds, which is really awesome. They just feel super good. Each of these little mold cavities holds about 4 ounces of soap. Now, I don't sell melt and pour in my shop, I just sell cold process, but I realized you could do this for both, so I wanted to make a video for both. But because I won't be able to sell these, I'm probably just going to be doing one of these kind of as an example soap for this video. Alright, so since these cavities hold about 4 ounces, the first thing I'm going to do is cut out about 3 ounces of our melt and pour soap. Alright, so I'll just add this to our microwave safe container. Now, to color it, we are going to be using these color blocks from Brambleberry. I have a brown oxide color block and a cappuccino color block. I wasn't sure what one I wanted to use, so I think I'm just going to use a little bit of both. Alright, I've cut up my little chunks about to an estimated size of what should be good. Now, I am using a clear melt and pour base. That's going to make it way easier to see our colors. You could technically use a white melt and pour base, but I fear your little piggies would look like they're soaking in a chocolate milk mud bath. Alright, so next I'm going to pop this in the microwave in 30-second increments until it gets to about 150 degrees. Once it gets there, I'm going to pull it out, give it a good stir until it gets down to about 140. And when it gets to 140, I'm going to add my fragrance oil. We're going to be using about 0.4 ounces per pound of melt and pour soap that we use in this project. Oh, and our fragrance of this day is this delightful cafe latte from Brambleberry. It's one of my favorite coffee scents. It's definitely coffee, but it's very sweet. It's not as harsh as some other ones. But I had just a teeny tiny bit left in that bottle, so I figured this would be a good project to try and use it up. All right, I have my fragrance oil measured out. It's super small since I'm doing such a small batch, but we're just gonna go ahead and give this all a really good stir, and then we'll pour it into our mold. This should be just enough to make it like mostly up the mold, but still give us like a good centimeter to put our little guy on the top. Now, the reason that I wanted to do a layer first before just filling it all the way up to the top and putting him on is I was afraid that he would end up bobbling around because he's so full of air or sink to the bottom somehow. I just figured if we gave him a nice platform to sit on when we pour our second layer, that things should go a little bit easier. We're going to give this a couple minutes to get fully set up, but in the meantime, I'm just going to prep my next container. I'm going to be melting down another 1.5 ounces of melt and pour soap, as well as a little bit more of those color blocks, and I'm going to try and match it as much as I can. I am eyeballing it. I'm usually pretty good at that. If you really want to make sure that your bottom is the same exact color as the top, you can always weigh your little color blocks to make sure it's exact, and I'm sure with bigger batches, it's probably a lot easier to color match. Those two colors I'm mixing though, the two browns, they are so similar. I think it would be really hard to get this one wrong. My soap is just starting to set up, and I'm kind of fudging around with the top a little bit. Just that way it's not so smooth, and when we add our next layer it should stick a little bit better. You could also just scrape the top in between the layers to get this effect, but I don't know, I'm bored waiting on soap to dry, and it seemed like a cool thing to try. Alright, our first layer is pretty well set up, and of course I got my bucket ready, and I'm just going to pop this in the microwave like last time, 30-second increments until we get it to 150, let it cool to 140, and add our fragrance. Alright, we are looking pretty good. Our second batch is ready to go. We're just going to add our fragrance. Give it a good stir. This time I'm going to wait a lot longer to pour than last time. I still want our new batch to be liquidy, but the closer you can get it to being thicker, the easier it'll be to get your little guys to sit up in there. This is making me want a cup of coffee. I have my little pig toy ready to go. Before we add this final layer, we're going to want to spritz our first layer with some alcohol, and that will just help our two sections stick together. All right, I think I'm getting it to a pretty good consistency. So next we're just going to pour it almost all the way to the top of our mold and stick our little piglet in. We should have a teeny tiny bit of batter left over, and I'll tell you what to do with that when we get there. I am filming a TikTok while I do this. You guys can follow us on there as well. I'll leave that link in the description if you're curious. Piggy time. Oh yeah. Let me just give you guys a close-up of this because you will be super impressed with our decision to do that first layer. There's our piggy. He's sitting pretty good in his mud pile. As you can see, we filled it just about to the top of our mold. I probably could have gone a little more, but I was worried the pig would take up more space than it did. So next what we have here is some mostly melted melt and pour, and I'm just going to scoop a little bit of that onto our piggy to give him the mud look. My piggy is not quite dry, but he's solid enough I can lift him to show you some things. So that is what he looks like with his mud puddle. I really like the booty. We got the booty nice with the mud. It smells incredible. So when you're filming, it is sometimes hard to hit record on everything, get the correct shot while you're also making your craft. So what ended up happening is I poured my second layer, I put my pig in, and I was just about ready to go to pour on that drizzle on the top. But with my camera stuff, moving everything around, I went to pick up the container and it was such a small amount that it was solid. So I did pop it back in the microwave for another 10 seconds to melt everything back down. So I was able to pour on top of that piggy. And so if your stuff gets solid, 10 seconds in the microwave, perfect way to fix that. However, I do think if you were not recording and you were just doing this all at once, you know, pour your 1/4 inch of stuff, pop a piggy on, and then pour some batter over it, I don't think that you would end up needing to use the microwave a second time. Overall though, I'm super happy with this. I went over a little on one edge, but that's nothing that a knife can't fix once I unmold this. So I'm just gonna go ahead and let him complete his sitting, let him get fully solidified, and then I will come back to unmold and do that little edge so we can look at our finished product. This is the final pig. It has these super awesome scrubbers on the bottom. Our pig looks beautifully covered in mud. I'm beyond satisfied with this tutorial. I can only hope that our cold process goes just as well as this melt and pour because wow. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this. Please subscribe for more fun tutorials just like this. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye. Bye.